Okay guys, now we move on to IELTS listening part 2. And part 2 is a little more complicated than part 1. A little only. Okay. In part 2, we have 3 most common question types. Number 1, multiple choice. Single multiple choice, where out of 3 you have to select one option. Number 2, double multiple choice, where out of 5 you have to select 2 options. Number 3, maps, right? And number 4, matching. So these question types are very common, but in part 2, if you find sentence completion, that means you are lucky. Sentence completion is the easiest question type in IELTS listening. So over here, questions 11 to 14, we have sentence completion. And then 15 to 20, we have a map. And don't be afraid of map. Today, deliberately, I selected this test because I wanted to teach you about maps, okay? We'll do that in detail. Don't worry, just relax, focus, and try to improve your English along with it, and you'll be fine. In future, you will have your own YouTube channel. IELTS YouTube channel, okay? Yeah, that's good. Okay, complete the notes below. Questions 11 to 14. Write one word for each answer. Now, are we allowed to write any number? No. When they don't mention number, it means answer will not contain any number at all, right? So, one word for each answer. FIDI, working heritage farm. Now, FIDI, we don't understand. Maybe heritage difficult for some people, but what we understand is farm. You know, farmhouse and all that. So it's a farm. It's actually a farm. Don't be, some students, they try to understand everything. In IELTS listening and IELTS reading, you should not try to understand everything. Then you say, FIDI, I don't know what is FIDI. And if I don't know what is FIDI, how can I answer the question? Right? Then they use another word and all that. These words are just there. It's the name of the farm. Actually, it's a farm. And by the way, what type of farms do we have? Sometimes it's cattle farm, sometimes fruit farm, sometimes vegetable farm, crops farm, and all that. Now, let's go on. Advice about visiting the farm. Whenever there is advice, there is usually one, in part 2, most of the time, there is one person talking. Sometimes there is a dialogue, but otherwise in part 1, there is a dialogue. Part 2, there is one person talking. Part 3, there are 2 to 3 people talking. And part 4, again, one person. So this is important for you to understand. When there is a dialogue, information flows from one point to another, you can understand easily. When one person is talking and talking and talking, sometimes that becomes fluent also. So you need to pay more attention, okay? Now, let's see. Advice about visiting the farm. Maybe they'll play some audio commentary that contains some advice. Visitors should, okay, take care not to harm any. Now, underline the word harm. And by the way, for take care, they usually use the word make sure. And for harm, they might use the word injure. Make sure not to injure any, and whatever they say after that, that will be your answer. Now, what you have to do, you have to just switch on your imagination and think about harm. Any word that describes harm, whatever they say, I mean, you're not going to harm something. Now, for example, at the farm, they have cows. So they say, make sure not to injure any cow. Make sure not to injure any buffalo. Make sure not to injure anything like that, okay? So whatever you are not supposed to injure, that will be your answer. It's very simple. And notice one thing, if you understand the question, you will understand the audio. When you don't understand the question, you never understand the audio.
Welcome to the FIDI Working Heritage Farm. This open-air museum gives you the experience of agriculture and rural life in the English countryside at the end of the 19th century. So you'll see a typical farm of that period, and like me, all the staff are dressed in clothes of that time. I must give you some advice and safety tips before we go any further. As it's a working farm, please don't frighten or injure the animals. We have a lot here, and many of them are breeds that are now quite rare.
Please don't frighten or injure the animals. Very simple. Please don't frighten. Take care not to. Please don't. So for not, they use don't. Please don't frighten or injure the animals. So take care not to harm any. You cannot say frighten, because not to harm any, frighten is not the right thing. And by the way, after any we use noun. So answer is animals. Now animals is right or animal is right? Both are fine. You can write animal or you can write animals, because it does not violate any grammar rule here. Any animal or any animals, both ways it's right. In the audio they used plural word. Okay, question number 12. Not touch any. Underline not touch any. For not touch any, they say don't go closer. For example, don't touch the fence. There is a fence, you know fence? Yes, so not touch the fence, they say don't go closer to the fence. Or they will use the word stay at a safe distance from the fence. When they say stay at a safe distance from the fence, it means don't touch the fence. So whatever, this is what you need to understand. For not touch any, what do they use in the audio? Whatever they use for that in the audio, that will help you find the answer. Let's see.
And do stay at a safe distance from the tools. Some of them have sharp points, which can be pretty dangerous, so please don't touch them. We don't want any accidents, do we?
Okay, now have you noticed one thing? Please don't touch them, some of them. All these words are going back to tools, right? So at the end he said, do stay at a safe distance from tools. So don't go near them and all that. Please listen again.
And do stay at a safe distance from the tools.
From the tools. Tools.
Some of them have sharp points.
Some of them have sharp points. Some of them. What does it mean, them? Tools. Some of them have sharp points.
Which can be pretty dangerous, so please don't touch them.
Please don't touch them. Them means tools. Exactly. Got it now, this point? Yeah. Let's go on. Question number 13. Wear dash. Simple. For wear, they can use the word put on. Right? Now, for example, in the audio, if they say, do not wear sandals, will that be your answer? No. And if he says, I'm glad to see that you are all wearing sandals, we recommend people to wear sandals. What will be the answer? Sandals. Okay? So let's see. Wear something. It can be a raincoat, it can be a mask, or anything like that.
The ground is very uneven, and you might slip if you're wearing sandals, so I'm glad to see you're all wearing shoes. We always advise people to do that.
We always advise people to do that. Now tell me, what do they mean by that? Wear shoes. We always advise people to do that. That means wear shoes. We've got a lot of referencing in this test. A lot of referencing. So unless you see that kahan pe ja raha hai, those kahan pe ja raha hai, them kahan pe ja raha hai, you will not be able to find the answer. So correct answer is shoes. Okay, not shoeses. Shoes. Okay, let's go on. Question number 14. Not bring. Now, there is something which you are not allowed to bring into the farm with certain exceptions. Certain exceptions means in certain cases you can bring, but otherwise there is something you are not allowed to bring. Focus, please.
Now, children of all ages are very welcome here, and usually even very young children love the ducks and lambs. So do bring them along next time you come.
Yes. Answer has not come. Okay, you have to wait. Children are all allowed. Okay, yeah. So they said even very young children, they like the ducks. So it's not don't bring children. Okay, yeah. Now let's go. Let's start again from the beginning.
Now, children of all ages are very welcome here, and usually even very young children love the ducks and lambs. So do bring them along next time you come. I don't think any of you have brought dogs with you, but in case you have, I'm afraid they'll have to stay in the car park unless they're guide dogs. I'm sure you'll understand that they could cause a lot of problems on a farm.
They will stay in the car park. What will stay in the car park? Dogs. And with certain exceptions. What is certain exception? Unless they are guard dog. Guide dogs or guard dogs? Just a second.
Now, If you look ahead of you, you'll see a maze.
Just a second.
It's opposite the new... Now, children of all ages are afraid they'll have to stay in the car park unless they're guide dogs.
Unless they are guide dogs. You know, some visually impaired people, they have a guide dog. Dog takes them where they want to go. So, with certain exceptions, that is guide dog, and not bring dogs. You know, once what happened, one of my friends, he went to a park and they had written in the park, animals are not allowed in the park. They had written that in Urdu, park mein janwar lana mana hai. And what this gentleman did, who is standing behind the camera, जानवर का रे मिटा दिया. पार्क में जानू लाना मन है. उसके बाद वो पार्क उजड़ गया. So, anyways, be careful, huh? You're very naughty.